Hey, great taste of Manitoba. Welcome back. We're here tonight, Manitoba pork and Susan Reese. This is all a taste of Germany. And so we're on to this amazing German-style pot roast. Now, the first place that my brain went was like, is there beer in here? There isn't, but we've got some...
There's wine.
There's some wine in there, so and lots of other great things. And there's a lot going on with this recipe. There's a few different steps, and we're super excited to share this with you tonight. So, step number one.
Okay, step number one, we're starting off with our really nice lean pork loin center cut roast. Super lean, as I said, and also, like, again, very economical. What we're gonna do is we're gonna just season all sides with a little bit of salt and pepper.
I kind of like to think of Manitoba pork as like the little black dress of protein. It's like it kind of goes
I like that.
with everything, and yeah, extremely versatile. We love that.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to brush the fat side first.
Fat side first?
Some German style mustard.
Okay, a couple questions. So fat side first because any particular reason?
The fat side actually takes a little longer to cook, and you want to render that. So it's going to help add a little bit more fat to the pan as well. So we're going to do that side first in terms of the browning, which is really an essential step in this particular recipe.
Yes, right. And then the mustard, and do you speak fluent German or relatively fluent? So is it Mostrich?
It's Senf.
Senf?
Senf.
Where did I get that from?
I don't know, you're just making up words.
Google doesn't know anything.
But Germans really love their mustard, and so the mustards, like the variety of mustards is probably about the same as the variety of sausages and salamis that you can get there.
That's a few.
They range in from spicy to sweet, coarse to fine. So we're using a German style mustard. If you had to substitute with something non-German, you could use a Dijon, but I feel like this mustard is a bit of a step up from a Dijon.
And some of it is incredibly hot, and so you know, again, we can kind of fool around with the temperature or the heat of it, I guess, depending on what your preference is.
So,
all right, there we go.
Got that in there.
That side down.
Just before I wash my hands, I'm going to baste the other sides with mustard as well. So lots of mustard. Key ingredient, obviously, in this dish. In German, it's actually called a Senfbraten.
Senfbraten?
Braten. Braten is a roast, and Senf is mustard. So
simple. Okay.
There we go.
And so about how long are we kind of talking about here, as far as like
for the browning part?
Yeah. Sort of have to eyeball it.
Yeah. Just give it, you know, like 2-3 minutes aside.
Okay.
And then you can turn it. So I'll get you to keep an eye on that while I wash up.
I just have to say that, like, I really have you to thank over the years that we've been doing this show together, because I like pork in particular. I used to cook it so like way too long, you know, like you could knock somebody unconscious with it by the time I was done with it. But so it's really kind of critical, right, that you don't overcook it. And so I really appreciate that I've been able to kind of ingest that, if you will, and really, I can cook pork now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the reason we're doing this in the pan too is because of that mustard. It tends to, you know, leave like some burnt spots in the pan, so we don't want to transfer that into our other pot.
Okay.
So while this is cooking away and browning, if you want to just, I can keep an eye on that.
Okay.
We're going to start sautéing our onions and our garlic and some butter. So there's lots of butter in this recipe.
It's terrible.
I know.
What a travesty.
Yeah, so you want to just saute those for, you know, 2 to 3 minutes, just until they soften up. And then you can add in the carrots and the celery.
Okay, and it's like again, like not cut into tiny little pieces, because this is a, you know.
It's a pot roast.
Pot roast, exactly. Okay.
And then you can also add in the beef broth.
Okay.
And just give that a stir as well as I can do that. And then the wine, the dry wine.
Dry wine.
Just a little bit. Put it in.
Well, I'm putting all in.
Put it all in.
You're not just...
No, the whole thing. Just dump it in. As well as the bay leaf.
Okay. Oops, oops, oops. There we go.
And then so we've got a roast here that we've already browned, that we've taken out of the pan and just rested and set it aside until we get this part of the recipe done. Just to talk about pot roasting for a second. So pot roasting, it's dry heat and moist heat at the same time. So we've got the dry heat method with the browning, which is a critical step because it's going to add a lot of flavor.
Seal in the flavor.
And then we've got cooking in the liquid. So we'll add this roast back in here now.
All right.
So I'm just gonna manhandle this.
Okay.
Put that in.
Well
and
done.
you can add the juices in too.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget those.
Critical. Okay.
And then we're gonna add in a little bit of thyme, and I'm just gonna pull this right off the
And do we salt and pepper
sprig.
this?
Or
has that already been-
It's the roast was already seasoned.
Okay,
So
of course.
the salt and pepper is for the gravy after, which we'll get to in a minute.
Gravy. Step
So then we
number
would
3.
just put the lid on and let that cook for about an hour, I would say. You want to use your meat thermometer. Make sure you pull it at 155 Fahrenheit. You still don't want to overcook it, even though it is a pot roast. And if you wanted to do it in the oven, you could do that too and just put the whole thing in the oven on 375 for about the same amount of time.
That's super easy. Nice.
Just make sure that this is not.
Yeah, how's
see,
that
this
looking?
one's good to turn.
Oh,
But we're going to move this aside because we don't really need this right now.
'Kay.
It's going to just be in our way.
We've got
We're
our,
focus on our gravy.
Our butter's popping here.
Yeah, so we've got about a quarter cup of butter melted here, and we're going to add our flour. So this is making our roux. Why they call it that, I don't know, but I think it's French.
I believe it is French, yes.
So you just end up getting this paste once we add the flour in.
And that's your beautiful thickener. That's what's really
Yeah.
going to, thicken this all up.
Exactly.
And what's in the little?
So in here, so this is the juices that's left after this is cooked.
Okay.
Right? And so you want about 2 cups of liquid. So if you don't have quite enough pan drippings, you can top it up to 2 cups with a bit more beef broth or wine or both. And as
And
you
you said
can see,
is there mustard in there as
there's
well?
a
You had
little
said?
tiny bit of mustard in here too, a couple more teaspoons. So you can see that this is
It doesn't take very long at all.
getting thick.
Nice and
So we're
thick,
gonna
yeah.
add this in now, pour that in. And this is gonna make a really delicious gravy. So this would just continue to cook until it's thickened to kind of the desired consistency that you want. And then you've got this beautiful gravy
That
that
you
can
would
go
just-
with mashed potatoes, with the roast. And like I said before, it's a really comforting Sunday dinner.
Absolutely wonderful. And then yes, you've got like assuming that there's any leftovers, you can slice it up.
Yeah, slice it up with mustard, put it on a bun, eat
More
it cold.
mustard. That is the theme of this show, more mustard.
Exactly.
And more wine, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, try these recipes out. We would love to know what you think of them. You can find them online, greattastesmb.ca. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Great Taste of Manitoba. We appreciate you, whether you're new to this channel or a long-time viewer. If you'd like to join us in the kitchen regularly and meet farm families across Manitoba, please subscribe. We share new videos every Sunday.